This is Shawn and Shawna, and welcome to the Web Piano Teacher Artist Series podcast, where we as fans explore the music of the world's most popular musicians and attempt to find out what it is that makes their music so good.
With each episode, we put ourselves in the artist's shoes, then write, compose, and perform an original song, applying what we learned and, hopefully, attempt to capture the magic and spirit of their music. After each episode, we hope to spark interest in an artist's music that inspires you to hear and appreciate their songs in a whole new way.
Hey guys, I'm Sean Cheek of WebPianoTeacher.com, and welcome to our first podcast in our artist series. My wife Shawna is with me.
Hi
today.
guys.
And guys, for those of you who are just tuning in, or you're new to our lessons, new to what we do, I'm an online piano teacher. I began on YouTube back in 2007, put a video up, it went crazy, and then I started teaching lessons online, had created a website, and Shawna has been along with me every step of the way, and now we're doing a podcast. You want to tell everybody about that?
In and out. I think too, so part of Web Piano Teacher is it's non-traditional music lesson, piano lessons. So we get a lot of people who are failed note readers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was a piano teacher privately for a long time, for many years. I'm 47 now. I started teaching when I was about 16. And so many people are talented and love music, but reading music is a roadblock. I mean, you just come into that.
Mm-hmm.
You see that all the time. Any piano teacher will tell you that. And I thought, all these people that could play, so I came up with a different way to teach.
And it's not just people who can play, it's people who love music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want note reading to get in the way of somebody who loves music getting to participate.
Right. So this just kind of took off with my own personal students who were about ready to quit. First it was just, trying to stay alive, have enough money to live on. And it actually started to work. And I started using the technique on all my students that had trouble with note reading. Now, note reading is great. It's a good skill to have. I don't want to put that down. But just having a different way to teach with the whiteboard and the letters, teaching chords, teaching rhythms by ear, just really resonated with a lot of people, especially older adults who just, couldn't do it, and then they finally could play using my method. Yeah,
and it's also good, cool music, because you go to find sheet music for, let's say, I don't know, an Elton John song, and they're going to put the melody in the right hand, or it's not going to be exactly what he does in the recording or even in a live version. And so I think what's cool, what you do is you transcribe exactly what you hear, a live version, a studio recording. And so that's the other thing, that people get to play what they know, what they've listened to.
Right. I found that, regardless of your talent level, if you really are into what you're learning and you're really dedicated to it and you're excited about it, that'll overcome a lot of obstacles right there. Just having the heart to do it. And when the song that you're learning sounds exactly like what you grew up with, people are really pumped about that. And you're right, sheet music is often incorrect, or it's just written in a way so that it'll make sales and not really sound like the original. So, I get a lot of people who are they want to sound like the real thing. And I've found that this way of teaching actually is better than note reading for some types of playing.
Well, because a lot of those guys aren't playing rhythmically perfect. It's hard to notate that. Yeah.
So a lot of the styles of playing with Elton John, specifically, if you just have the chord and know what he's doing, what he tends to do rhythmically, what he tends to do in his chord patterns, it's a lot better to learn, I think, the way that I'm teaching than maybe writing every single note out. Then you understand what you're doing, and you can really feel the music and have it flow out of you instead of being a robot.
Yeah. So through all these years, Sean, you've done a ton of songs by a ton of artists, and we've always been music fans. We like classic rock, 90s rock. We like a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, everything.
So in doing this, we've become real fans of the music.
Sure.
And obviously the process of writing music and just how it all comes together. And then, we get emails from people. We have a lot of conversations with people and about these musicians, these artists that we transcribe their songs. So we thought it would be cool. We'll be honest with you guys. We started this Elton John project a long time ago. We picked him as our first artist for this artist series, and we went way overboard on.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books and articles and interviews, and I can't even tell you how much hours and hours of stuff I read on Elton John. And we listened to ton.
Oh yeah, we listened
of
to
his
so
music.
many albums. Yeah, and kind of went through every song and learned every chord of every song.
Way too much. And then we were trying to decide, how do we deliver all this information to you? And guys, we've tried 3 times to deliver how do we want to deliver this information? How do we want to do this? And I think every time we were like, one was like 5 hours long. I think then we were like, okay, we're going to shorten it.
Yeah.
And then it was like still right under 3 hours long.
It's because we were such big fans and we loved everything we were doing so much. It's just like you want to tell everything.
We can tell everything.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're trying again. And we're trying it in this podcast format. But I think really what we did that is so cool, the best part of this project was the song that we wrote. So we had this idea where we would research Elton John and his songwriting style and his inspirations and all these things, listen to his music. I read a lot about Bernie Taupin, his partner that he wrote music with for like 50 years now.
Yeah.
And we decided what we would do is put ourselves in their shoes. So we wanted to see if we could write a song that sounded like Elton John, using the techniques that we learned, and also like lyrically how it all put together.
Yeah. Using the process that they used. Now, all that reading you did and research helped you to write the song because you really got a feeling of who Elton John was in his life. So this song is actually about his life.
Yeah, because when I sat down to write the song, I was like, well, I'm not going to write about myself. I'm like not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I just was like, well, I'm going to write about him. I loved his story. But I know a lot of people know kind of how Elton John and Bernie Taupin wrote. But in case you don't know, so Bernie Taupin wrote the lyrics.
This is from the day one.
From day one. They both responded to an ad that a record company put out for songwriters. Bernie Taupin writes the lyrics, and he gives them to Elton John.
Yeah.
And he's done.
Yeah.
And then Elton John takes the lyrics and starts just fiddling around on the piano. And if something doesn't come out in 20 minutes, he moves on.
Yeah. And this is really not the way it's usually done.
No.
Usually, you collaborate and you make changes together. But so for someone, like Elton, who's got to just take something and make something out of it, it can really provide some challenges because, sometimes a word won't fit or something. So, it's really kind of unique that they write this way.
And in all of our research, I would read through just the lyrics, and they don't read like song lyrics, like da 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 da,
right?
Da 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 da. Yeah. They're very poetic, very artistic, but they're not really like lyrical.
No. And that makes it tough for the music guy because it doesn't fit. Because music has to be, in 4s and 8s and so forth. And if it doesn't fit, and I think that actually added to Elton's creativity because in his craftsmanship to make a line work, you get this awesome lyric, this awesome chord progression that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think actually what would be a hurdle for many musicians or kind of roadblock actually ended up making Elton even better.
Yeah. And
showcasing what he could do as an artist.
So what we did is I went to the office one day and wrote some lyrics. And I had to really think about not making them sing-songy. And another thing Bernie did when I would read through his lyrics, he tells a story. So many of his songs, he's telling a story about just like a regular guy or some event or, I don't know, he's kind of storytelling about something that doesn't really even make a whole lot of sense, but he's storytelling. So I thought, well, I'm going to tell a story, and I'm not going to worry about so many lines. I'm just going to tell my story that I want to tell. And I don't know, I spent like 20 minutes. It wasn't hard because I'd done so much research and knew I was going to be writing a song as I was researching. So I'd been playing around ideas, but literally just sat down in about 20 minutes, wrote these lyrics, and then handed it to you, and I had to leave.
And all the research you did, I think you really have to do that to get inside an artist, to really immerse yourself, to really get your emotions from a place where they are, because you really have to write it. You have to be able to get in their shoes, so to speak. And I think that allowed you to do that, watching the movie Elton John, reading everything, soaking it all up. And for me, from the other side, I didn't do any reading at all. I just listened to his music. That's all I did. I was working out in the garden. I'd have my AirPods in, listening to Elton John albums, soaking it all in. I knew the hits like everyone, but there's a lot of great stuff that aren't the hits. Yeah. You know how that goes. And I just soaked everything up. And then when Shawna gave me the lyrics, I went to write the music to it. The initial part did go pretty fast. Then I had to spend some hours with the craft of, refining some things, but pretty much came all to me in one evening. And didn't try to say, well, I'm going to do this like Elton John, then I'm going to do this after immersing myself in his stuff, it just kind of came out. And that's how influences work. I mean, if you listen to a lot of stuff and then you write something, you're going to sound something like the person you were listening to. And that's what I did. I just immersed in Elton John, and I pretended, I was him singing the song and writing the song, and it just, here we are.
Okay, so let's...
the big moment everyone's waiting for. All right.
Yeah, so guys, we're just... gonna do this live.
Yeah, all right. So here we go. The song is called Turn the Table. And we're gonna give it our best shot here. We're gonna both sing it. I asked Shauna to help me with it because it's so freaking high.
It's a young Elton John song.
Yeah. In certain places. Here we go. All right. Turn the table. Span the song. Believe in the fable, even when your heart knows it's wrong. Turn the table, span the song. Life is short, but life goes on. Turn the table, span the song. His mind, it plays tricks on him. Surrounded by his lovers, friends and colleagues, queens and mothers, giving in to all his whims. Handing over desires, adding fuel to a flame of fire.
Oh, turn the table, spin the song, believe in the fable, even when your heart knows it's wrong. Turn the table, spin the song. Life is short, but life goes on. Turn the table, spin the song. Living in a vacuum. Yes means no and no means yes. It cuts a line, toes it fine through rose-colored glasses, blurred visions of success. A shot to his veins like gunfire, his choice to rise up or expire. Zipping up his tall stack boots, reaching up to touch his roots, tethered in the sounds of soul. Music making, flat 7 country third, and the bass line descending down, down, down.
He sends to take control. So turn the table, span the song, throw out the fable, turn the page, a new day has dawned. Turn the table, span the song. Life is short, but life goes on. Turn the table, span the song. Turn the table, span the song. Turn the table, span the song. Oh, oh, turn the table, spin the song. All right, sorry about the scratchy voice at the end.
We made it.
We made it.
Oh my gosh.
I should have took a drink of water there for the end. All right.
Okay. So I hope you guys are like, oh, yeah.
That's probably the best we've done it all together. Maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sure. But I hope you guys heard it and think, yeah, that sounds like an Elton John song. So I think what we want to do is sort of dissect the song. And
yes, why does it sound like an Elton John?
Why does it sound like an Elton John song? And we hope to point out why Elton John is such a genius. Like, we literally were just taking some of his techniques that we learned by listening to his whole body of work.
Right.
And sort of recycled them like he did to sort of create this song. And
yeah, there's certain things that he does in his piano playing, certain things he does in his voice that really make him sound like himself. In fact, other artists will stay away from those things because they don't want to be accused of sounding like Elton John.
We are trying to sound like Elton John.
Yeah, we're trying to. So if we do, that's a compliment. Anytime somebody says, well, that sounds like Elton John, compliment.
Thank you. That's what we were attempting.
Yes. And I noticed this after listening to just his first album. Self-titled, right?
Yeah.
It's not actually his first album. It's his real first album, I think.
Yeah. It is his real first album released in America.
Yeah. So Elton John, self-titled, but right there in the very beginning, every song you hear, everything you will hear for the rest of his output. Yeah. I think everything right there. And it was amazing to me because usually artists, they get better or they try to evolve or whatever. They change and you get an album. You're like, oh, that's nice or that's different. But he was all put together, I think, from the very beginning. You hear every element that he's going to use from then out. So that was amazing to me.
And the album as a whole was that first album a little I don't want to say disjointed. I don't think he was trying to do like a concept album or something like the Beatles did with Abbey Road. I don't think he was trying to do an overall thing. I mean, each song on this album, that first album, stands alone. And I think that's why we learned so much about him.
Yeah. And you told me all the stuff that I need to know from your reading because I didn't read anything. But you said he spent a lot of time as a studio musician.
He did. For
these different artists. And I think that was key. I don't know how long you did that, but being in a studio musician, you've got to hear these different, people come in and you've got to match this style, match this style, match this style. He had these different influences of country, gospel, blues, classical music from his training as a child, right? And so forth. So all these different influences come together to make Elton, definitely.
I think that's too why he's been famous for how many years now? Like probably 3 generations of people like his music. I mean, my parents like his music, we like his music, and our kids now are familiar with his music.
Oh, yeah.
And like it. Like, I think his music is so interesting. He keeps you're not bored when you're listening to it. No. He's always changing something. Your ear is he's always doing something, a little variation on something.
And I'll say this, a couple of things. One, as a teacher, Because I get asked more than anyone else to transcribe an Elton John song. Usually it's a live version because people love the way he plays. Everyone wants to play like Elton. And as a teacher, as trying to figure out the stuff he's doing, which is my task, no one is more challenging. Because there's so many different things. And, he never plays it the same way twice. I can never go, okay, just play verse 2 like you did verse 1.
Yeah.
No. Not with Elton. It's always completely different. It's always completely different from show to show. So you never get the same thing because he's always creating music, even if it's the same song that he's played 1,000 times.
Yeah, I don't think he can not
he's
create music.
So as a teacher, I can say he's been the most challenging, the most fun. He's really intellectually satisfying to go through a chord progression and go, oh, that's weird. Oh, that works. That's weird. Never heard that before.
How did he do that?
Yeah. How did he, amazing. And the second thing is I like him so much because we have similar backgrounds, me and him, I think. I'm not saying I'm Elton John by any means. Okay. So don't.
Hold up.
But we both have a background in classical music, brought up in the note reading classical music tradition. So was I. I kind of went further than he did in that, but also have a gospel blues background. My mother took me to a gospel blues church in Corsicana, Texas for like a year. And I learned how to have fun with music in a church service. And just listening to the music was amazing. I was like, why aren't these people on the radio? But that background, the country, my parents played country music. Willie Nelson albums were always, around. And just we have the same background, so I tend to play, even before I knew Elton, I tend to play things like he does, not because I think I'm Elton, but because that's just how it comes out.
You're pulling from the same
I'm pulling from the same pool, same pools of inspiration, of influences, and it just fits. I can hear him one time, and then I can just play it because that's how I would do it if I were to do it.
And I don't know, all the stuff I read, I don't know if he has perfect pitch. But he
does definitely.
Well, he has a Rolodex of information. If he hears a song in any style, any genre, it immediately is filed away in his brain, I think. And it's not just there and information he can call upon. It's like the music becomes a part of him. Yeah. And so when stuff is coming out, it's a combination of everything he's ever heard. Because there was a story, because I read his memoir, and there was a story where he played back something he heard on the radio or something his grandmother played. I can't remember exactly, but he was like young, very young, and played it back perfectly. And when he interviewed to go into the Royal Academy of Music or whatever, he did the same thing. So he definitely...
I really think he does. And that's a gift I've been given as well. And I think it really helps me in the speed of transcribing things and hearing things to teach others. That's why it was given to me. And and you do. And as a kid growing up, that kind of thing happened to me, but I didn't realize it was anything special. I thought anyone could do that if they just listened. My mom playing, and I didn't know the names of the notes, but Mom played the piano like the same 2 songs over and over. And I knew what the notes were. They were like, my friends. I could hear which ones, and they all had different timbres to my mind. I know it's just pitch, but it feels like a different timbre, a different instrument. And then being able to know what she was doing, I couldn't play back what she was doing, but I knew where everything went in my head, and I didn't realize that was a special gift, but it really is. And I think that's what allowed Elton to really draw from all these different influences and write such great music. So,
all right, let's get into our song that we wrote. Yep. So from the very beginning, Turn the Table. The first line of the song.
Now, if you're a young person, you may not know what Turn the Table is.
Like a record.
It's a record player. Yeah. So, Turn the Table.
Well, it's also a little bit of it's a play on words here too, because his life. Yeah.
And, well, we'll see if I can do this. I didn't make my notes on this.
Oh, great.
He told me to.
Like I told you to. Guys, the story of our whole marriage.
Yeah. So I love the first line, turn the table, spin the song. And wonderful. Which was always the constant thing in his life was the music.
Yeah, but also from the storytelling side, it's a song about contradictions.
Yeah.
And I get to that later where yes means no and no means yes. So
we need to print these lyrics out so people can see them.
Yeah, well, guys, we're still working off of like the handwritten lyrics that I wrote.
Yeah, me too.
As like he has a screenshot of it.
Yeah. So the first line, is just turn the table, spin the song. So what's our first?
Gospel blues.
Gospel blues. Okay, great. Gospel blues influence, definitely. Who did he studio musician for? Who was that?
Patti LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle. Okay.
I mean,
That's enough right there. Yeah. So we have these gospel blues chords that he uses all the time. Now, it's not straight gospel blues, but he'll do a sweet sounding ballad song and then put these blues elements in it, like his little ornaments. And that's what makes it so awesome and sparkle so much, I think. So you have turn the table. There's a gospel blues. Because most songs, they would just be straight chords and go, turn the table, spin the song, just kind of a straight.
That's pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty. But Elton, it's turn the table. And later on, the little staccato. But those little gospel chords, and I'm not supposed to teach, so I'm not going to tell what all these chords are. But you can hear the gospel element, right? Right?
Well, he was a huge Ray Charles fan.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ray Charles was definitely using gospel blues.
Yes.
He got in trouble.
Yeah, he did. But I'm glad he did it because, wonderful. And so we look at that first album. Right. Yeah, there we go. So those gospel, you hear that second chord.
There it is. Take me to the pilot.
There's another gospel. So if you weren't gospel blues, you'd be kind of plain. But Elton, he has the connecting chords. Gospel. And then this one, the fully diminished seventh that I love. So definitely the gospel blues element. And we do that right off the bat. Turn the table. All right. And we had, how many chords did we say we had?
18.
Okay.
In the chorus alone, which is only 1, 2, 3,
the verse alone. No, verse. Chorus.
Yeah.
You're right, chorus.
5, 6 lines?
Yeah.
You crammed in 18 chords.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind here, most, songs will have 3 chords, sometimes 4. Mm-hmm. Country songs will commonly just have 3 chords. And we have 18 chords. And I didn't say, I'm going to have a lot of chords. I just played in the style of Elton that I've known so well. And it just came out that way. So all of these chords, complex chord structures, are just part of his music. But definitely the gospel blues. And later on, we do the gospel blues at the end. Remember? Let's see. Where is it at? Turn the table, spin the song. Right here, listen. Definitely gospel blues. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, off that first album, my 2 favorite songs are Take Me to the Pilot and Border Song.
Yeah.
Which are straight.
Right. It's just straight. And the churches were just doing this stuff already.
Yeah.
And it's not like he invented it, but he, used it in an Elton John way. But all right. So gospel blues. What else we got?
Well, and back to that complex chord structure. He was so inventive, and I think sometimes because of Bernie Taupin's lyrics, he had to find a way to fill space musically to make up for missing words or maybe too many words or, and he had to always kind of like, how do I backtrack back to the beginning of the chord progression?
Sure.
We had to do that. But I love when we were doing all that research, he does have that classical background. And the way he puts these complex chord structures together. One time you told me he's like inventive like Chopin.
Yeah. Well, that's what Chopin did. He came from, you had classical music, then you had Beethoven, who kind of got into the romantic music era. And then Chopin really took it and went off with it, him and Robert Schumann. But he was really inventive on his harmonies, on how he got from one chord to the next. And you can imagine for the listeners of the day, it was like, that was weird, but then somehow it worked, and then you began to like it.
Yeah.
And he would do it another way, and you go, how did that work? Because that normally, if you do those 2 chords, in combination, it would sound awful. That's not right.
Because I might be putting you on the spot here. Gray Seal
Uh-huh.
from that first album.
Yeah.
He does, you know, he's going along in the song and then he does that. You're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
What, can you play that part?
I can. Let me flip to it here in my notes. I looked over them. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. Here we go. All right, so we have, everybody knows that song. All right, so we have, remind me what we're talking about again.
That part where he.
Oh, yes. So we know the song. All right, you know that. And then he finishes the chorus. Let's see. Great seal. So there's the end of the chorus. Great seal. And how do you get back? Because he changed keys. He just went straight into another key on the chorus from the verse to chorus, which is not unheard of, but it's just how did he do that and make it sound good? But then we've got to get back to the other key, and so he does this. Let's see. I got to work on it here. I can't. I need glasses. And then, and that little part right there to me is the most amazing thing. It doesn't sound like the verse. It doesn't sound like the chorus. Yet somehow it connects both of them. Usually if you're trying to get from one section to another contrasting section, like a contrasting key or something, you have to have something that's transitional that kind of sounds like the first thing, kind of sounds like the second thing, so you can bridge the gap. But this is just, it sounds like the Tchaikovsky piano concerto, the little half steps there. And then we're back. Na, 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 na. And it sounds great.
Which I doubt Elton John was sitting there like, you know what? I'm going to try to make this sound like Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
But I think it was in there.
Yeah. It just reminds me of that. I don't know that he
Well, I don't think
thought of that.
I mean, I don't know. Elton, call me.
Yeah, but those little but that's just amazing. That's genius to me to use that little part to connect those. I can't stop playing. It's so fun. Yeah.
Okay, so we got to bring it back. Guys, see why this took us 3 hours?
Yes. Right. These chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Which made it really fun to perform it now live, didn't it?
Yes. It's hard. You got to work on this. And brings me to one of the things that I really admire about Elton is most pianists, singer-songwriters, they can't play all this stuff while they're singing.
Yes, because there's an album out there. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a lot of different artists all playing Elton John songs.
Yeah.
And then they put this album out. Nobody's playing the piano like Elton John. They all and singing like him.
Normally, if you play the piano like he does when he plays solo, your vocals are going to suffer. The more complicated the piano part is, the more they're going to suffer because you have to concentrate on that. But somehow he manages to sing and these awesome Elton vocal melodies, and still the piano is just doing everything he would normally do. It's so automatic to him, So that is amazing to me because I had work at this. I'm still not, where I would want to be. So for playing this one and singing it, I was hanging by a thread all the way through. But
and the goal is that we'll do this for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
So we'll have another artist. We'll research.
The next one will be easier. I don't care who it is. It's gonna.
We'll put ourselves in the same. We'll try to put ourselves in their shoes for their songwriting and all this stuff. And,
yes.
But hopefully they won't all be as technically proficient as Elton John.
Yeah.
Vocally and on his instrument.
That's what I'm saying. Whatever we do next is going to be. We know what we're going to do next. We're not telling anybody.
We're not telling you, but we know.
Yeah. I hope I don't say it.
No. Don't. What's that Office episode?
Yeah, Michael Scott. Oh, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
All
right. Let's talk about the verse now.
Okay. What was next?
Well, in the verse, we use a country third.
Okay.
Which Elton loves.
When is the arpeggio? When is that? That's not next?
Not next.
Okay. All right. The country third. Country third sounds like this.
Floyd Kramer.
Yeah. So
which, again, huge inspiration for any piano player at that time.
Yes.
Elton John was.
And Floyd Kramer did not invent the country third, but he definitely popularized it. And Elton uses it, and he'll use it in if he does a country sounding song, he'll use it, but he does it just anywhere. And I think that was what was innovative, is he would play it when there's not, like, his mind, it plays tricks. There's a country third.
But the song doesn't sound country.
No.
Yeah.
Right. So I just naturally put the country third. There's another place where it comes, but I'm going to save that.
Okay.
But the country third, that little flick. But Elton would use that all the time, but just in a ballad setting. So country third, definitely a style of Elton.
And then we're going to go into, so his mind, it plays tricks on him, surrounded by his lovers, friends, colleagues, queens, and mothers, which I want to talk about the lyrics there for a second.
Okay.
Because, and that's part of the turn the table, spin the song. So, believing his worth and his popularity was wrapped up in his music and the feedback from other people. And later in life, he realized that was all nothing.
Yeah.
So again, the song about contradictions, what he was believing was the truth about himself.
Yeah.
Not lining up with reality. And that kind of messed him up. But his friends, his colleagues, but I say queens and mothers, but really I was trying to say, well, it didn't fit, but the queen mother. So there was this whole story where he literally is like having tea with the queen mother.
Okay.
And
That
that's like what
English.
they call her,
Yeah.
But he had like a relationship with the royal family.
Okay.
And I just love the way queen mother sounds. I don't know. It just, I like the way it feels when you're saying it.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to put that in because I loved that story.
Queen mother.
That Elton John was like friends with, or had a relationship with the royal family. Something about where he lived and where they lived. Anyway. So that's why I put that in there.
Great.
But,
yeah. So,
and they were giving into all his whims, handing over desires, adding fuel to a flame of fire.
Right.
Which Elton John will admit his.
Yeah. And as we're doing this, I try to make the music sound like the motion or the tension, if there's tension, adding fuel to a flame. You can hear the flame rising up fire.
Yeah.
And then we're back to the turn the table because that's always.
But let's talk about the line
music.
friends and colleagues, queens and mothers. Elton John, does a rhythmic pattern that he uses.
Yeah.
Once you pointed this out to me, I was like, mind blown. I had no idea how and this is a part of his genius, able to kind of recycle a technique.
Yeah, over and over.
But adding different chords I had no idea he was doing this.
Yeah. And it never gets old and you never go, oh, we heard this before.
No, because you've listened to those artists where you're like, all right, write a new song. This sounds the same as the whole album sounds the same. Elton doesn't do that, but it literally blew my mind that he uses this rhythmic pattern. Yeah. When you showed it to me, but
if
let's
you count
tell
to
everybody.
8 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, dun 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 dun. So if we have dun 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 dun, and then I'm just playing a rhythm, but
I was like, I don't know that Elton song.
Or here's one. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun. There's the first song, the very first track on the album. Da 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 da. So get that in your mind. Da 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 da, and then listen to any Elton John ballad. Most of them.
Can I quiz you?
Yeah,
you think you can do it? Can I put you on the spot? So Tiny Dancer.
Okay.
That has that rhythmic pattern.
Yes. Yes.
Leave On.
Leave On has it.
Madman Across the Water.
Yeah. In fact, that album.
Yeah, like the first 5 songs.
Right.
He uses that same rhythmic pattern.
But
I can listen to all 5. I can't get enough of those 5 songs, even in order.
Right. So in our song we did here, I got to change keys. Let's see. Na 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 na. Let's see. Friends and colleagues.
Da 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 da.
Dun, 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 da da da, and then it, the rhythm changes a little bit there, but da da da.
That was a little nod to his
and
ballad
I
rhythmic
didn't try to do that.
Really?
No, I just had immersed myself in his music, and it automatically came out. And then we went, and started analyzing and then noticing these things, So it's amazing. So no, just listening to Elton John. So that rhythmic pattern definitely all the way through.
So now we've already kind of talked about his classical influence, but you kind of worked it into this song.
Right.
Between the verse and the chorus, that little turnaround.
Right. So flame of fire. No, it's not there. Let's see.
It's between the second verse. Yeah.
Okay. Turn the table, span the song. Right here we have. Oh, sorry. Then we're back in.
Yeah. But he does that in a lot of his music.
Right. So classical sounding.
From that first album, some of the not so maybe ones you don't know as well on that first album.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see what we have. I Need You to Turn To.
Oh yeah, that intro.
Classical sounding. Then real quick we have
The King Must Die.
Oh, here we go. That could easily be it's very Bach sounding. In fact, when he sounds classical, it usually reminds me of Bach more than any other. And I bet he had plenty of Bach when he was younger. Yeah. And he probably hated it some of the time.
I don't know. He talks very fondly of his. He didn't want to be a classical pianist.
Well, I meant the rigor.
Oh, yeah.
The rigor of the practice. He probably loved the music, but the way that you have to practice and what's expected and just the rigor of having a lesson and having to do what your teacher's telling you and to, put that's very stressful.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not saying he couldn't do it,
but
if you can picture Elton John in his, one of his stage costumes and his personality sitting in a practice room for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, didn't suit him.
Yeah, and I think he knew that. He's like, I love this music. I don't want to do that.
And plus the fact that, in classical music, you play this thing. You don't change a note of Beethoven. You don't change a note of Bach. You do it exactly, because they're the master and you're the performer. But he thrives in improvisation, in the moment, the emotion. That's where a lot of his creativity comes from. And classical music doesn't allow for that, like what he does, even though we still have these classical elements. So it's great he did have that classical background, so we can have stuff like this.
Yeah.
I did get that one in again. My favorite song.
That is his favorite song,
yeah.
Yeah. So then we go into the bridge, which is my favorite part of the song. Because in the story that I was telling, he really turned his life around. He kind of hit that rock bottom. And he had to decide, literally, I'm going to die or I need to change. Yeah. And he chose change. He chose to take off the rose-colored glasses, from the last one, from the last verse.
Yeah, and I love the zipping up his tall stack boots. You can just get a picture of him doing that, from the way he dressed and everything.
And I love the next line, reaching up to touch his roots. Yeah. Just that, again, the little contradiction. So
in this section,
he was so low, he had to reach up to touch the roots.
Yeah.
But also go back to his roots.
Right. So I wanted to have the ballad style. Da, 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 but then also I wanted to include the gospel blues.
Mm-hmm.
Play it better when I'm not singing it. Another. So, and something that was a little more driving.
Mm-hmm.
So the tempo doesn't change. The speed of the song doesn't change. It may feel like it speeds up, it doesn't, but it's just the style. It's just gospel. Da, 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 da. So lots of space, and we have these straight blues licks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the whole song isn't that way.
No.
Just this part. And that's what Elton did, is he would fuse all these elements together in one song, and it didn't sound forced. It just is magical, you know, and I just came out of me after immersing in his music. So zipping up. Wait, that's your part. Why don't we sing it again real quick? Ready? Okay. Ready and go. 1.
Zipping up his tall stack boots, reaching up to touch his roots, tethered in the sounds of soul, music making, flat 7 country third, and the bass line descending down, down, down.
All right.
Okay,
awesome.
Good. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for the next part.
Yeah.
So we added those blues, but he also did that driving.
Yes.
You know, he did that in The Cage, which is another one of his maybe not so well known.
Right.
Kind of does this weird interlude in that song, but instrumental.
Yeah, but he's always creative. He's always doing something different. I love about it. So, you know, we needed a section that had the blues and the gospel and the driving beat, so that really fit pretty well. And
that's the thing. I'm like, I can't picture that section of lyrics with anything other than what you wrote.
Yeah.
But we didn't write it together. It wasn't like, oh, you know, it would sound cool. I mean, I guess you had the lyrics, but I had no idea.
Yeah, for those two, for Bernie and Elton, it would have limited Bernie to work with Elton. It would have limited Elton to work with Bernie. They had to be separate and work their craft, and they made each other better.
I think so.
Because Bernie had the freedom to do whatever he wanted because he didn't have to fit some mold, so somebody's not going to come to him and try to change it or whatever. And then Elton, being creative, having those problems, you know, of lyrics, of rhythm in the lyrics, overcoming those and just making something really cool that he wouldn't have otherwise made had he not had that problem of having to make these lyrics work.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's my opinion.
And Elton worked with other songwriters, and I don't think those songs had the same effect on the people that listened to them as the ones that he did with Bernie. And Bernie wrote for himself and other people. And again, I don't think his songs were as effective as when he had Elton John writing the music to it. It's just so interesting to me how they work together and the end result. And I think maybe more people should try it. I mean, we did it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're like,
no,
I'm not a songwriter. I literally have never written a song before.
Yeah. We're not experts. We're just fans.
Yeah.
You know, we're fans and we love it, and we did some work here, and we hope you guys.
I mean, you're pretty talented.
Well, I do what I can.
Okay, so then we get to the line: music making, flat 7, country third, bass line descending,
right,
down, down, down.
And
so I literally, I mean, that's very literal.
How many things is in there? Flat 7, country third, and down, down, down. Yeah.
I mean, by this point, we had done a lot of research.
There's actually another thing: ascends to take control.
Yeah, and he ascends.
Okay. Yeah.
But, I mean, we had done some listening. I kind of knew what some of these techniques were.
Yeah.
And I literally put them in the song.
And in one place, and so when I'm writing it, it just kind of came out. In fact, I didn't, you know, if you're writing something, when you find yourself trying, that's when it's no good.
And that's what Elton said. If it took him, if he was having to kind of labor over a song, if it didn't just come right out, he moved on. Now,
there is a process afterwards of fine-tuning and craftsmanship, of roughing, you know, ironing out the edges and stuff. But if you find yourself trying in the, you know, in the foundation of it, in the making of the song, then, you know, maybe time to do something different. But this just came right out here. So we have music making, flat 7
country third.
Yeah, so the flat 7, what all that means is it's something Elton would do all the time. This song is in B flat. A flat 7 just sounds like this. And then in the back. But he would always go to the flat 7. Kind of a signature of his. And once I realized that, he does it in so many songs. In fact, flat 7, flat 6, flat 3. But flat 7, very common thing for Elton to do, to go to that flat 7. It's not a normal chord in a key. That's what I'm saying.
If he, and we had, in one of our takes of trying to put this together, we'd asked each other, what would you ask? If Elton John was in the room, what would you ask him? And I don't remember if it was you or me, but asking him, like, do you have a certain feeling attached?
Oh yeah, right.
To the flat 7?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think the way he uses it, and knowing what I know about you and music and how you hear it and associate emotion and memory and stuff to a sound, I have to wonder if he has some special affinity for the flat 7.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he uses it here. So when we're music making, flat 7, country third. So then we have. So I had to do the country third. And then we have, and the bass line. Now, if you don't know music, you probably can figure this one out. Bass line descending down, down, down. You can hear that going down. A lot of his songs will have this descending bass line thing. In fact, when he just starts out on the verse, he'll just have a descending bass line, and the chords will change, on top of that. But it just seems to be a thing he does all the time. He just goes to that and has that descending bass line on a verse, on a chorus. It's just, and most songs will just stay on a chord for a while and then move to another chord and then come back to the one chord and then go to the 5 and then come back. But he'll have, it goes back to this complex chord structure. But you'll hear that in the bass line all the time. You'll hear it in the piano. If you can't hear it, listen to the bass guitar. You can hear it just moving down. Bass line descending down, down, down. Now we have one more part. And I did my little Elton John octave lick.
He likes
because
that.
He's ascending. This is where he, turns it all around. Sounds to take control. Oh, gospel chord. And then we have a little, which I really tried to do that when we were singing. Gospel blues element. And you couldn't do that if you hadn't grown up playing blues stuff.
Or all his time in the studio as a studio musician.
Right. So we tried to cram off, or we didn't try. It just worked out that way. And it's really cool. The song did work out that way. Yeah. And
he did collaborate. Like you said, you get the basic structure of a song, and then you got a lot to work out after that.
Yeah.
But he did collaborate with people. Once he had a set band that he started using for every album and touring and stuff, there was kind of a neat story. They were in France recording, I think, Honky Cat, and just their process of working together. That Bernie would give him the lyrics the night before, and Elton would wake up really early in the morning and by himself kind of work out these songs, and then the band would start coming down. They'd be waking up, and then they would just kind of sit around this living room and kind of fine-tune the song and take elements of what everybody else.
Now that's how music should be.
That is, and I mean,
really should.
I think a lot of music is that way.
Yeah.
But so he didn't just work on an island.
But he let them have freedom in playing, which is not someone who's a superstar like him. A lot of times they'll have super control over what's done.
Well, and we've talked about
do it this way and don't ever do it any other way.
Yeah. Which he's worked with those artists. There's a funny story in his book about working with Tina Turner on the VH1 Divas. Yeah. Because Elton was doing his Elton thing. He was playing in the breaks or in the rests.
Yeah.
Improvising, just little things like a country third or whatever. Yeah. And she was like, no, you play it like the album, exactly the same every time. I mean, there was a big blow up, but I don't think Elton can help it.
No, I don't think so either. And it's wonderful. He gave the people in his band, equal importance to be able to, improvise and add to the recording like that. So that's really neat when I heard that. All right, what else? What other element do we have?
Oh, I was just thinking about something about, oh man. Darn. In and out is what happened.
What now?
The thought. It was a really good one.
Okay.
Darn. Maybe it'll come back to me. But lyrically, we did change the chorus in the last because, again, he turned the table. He spin the song, spin the story, like news, you can spin it. So he spin the song. He threw out the fable. Yep. He wasn't believing in the lies anymore.
Yeah, did you catch that, the last chorus?
Yeah. Turn the table, spin the song, throw out the fable, turn the page, a new day has dawned.
Yeah.
Turn the table, spin the song. Life is short, but life goes on.
Right. And what I did with the music before, it was turn the table, spin the song, minor. Right. But this last time, turn the table, spin the song. I wanted to do that, didn't do it.
I know.
Anyway, so we have a different feel in the major gospel blues, happy,
And that was the overwhelming thing I got about Elton John's life was it didn't end. I mean, he's still alive.
Yeah.
It hasn't ended. His story didn't end sad. He
Right.
turned the table, man. He just seemed to have such a positive outlook, like a redemptive story.
Right. Are we going to get to the arpeggios?
Oh, did we skip over that?
I think we haven't done that one. What else? What else is there?
That's all I think.
The arpeggios.
Yeah, we missed that.
Ballad rhythm. Yeah, that's right. So the one of the important ones. So best for last.
Oh yeah.
Arpeggio rhythm. So you have in the song we did, you can hear. So we have turn the table, span. Then we have this. So we have this arpeggio, and all that is, it's a chord that you play one note at a time. Instead of doing this, you go. So we have that arpeggio feel, which is, kind of a classical thing as well, And he plays that way, and not many pianists play that way, especially while they're singing, because it's more difficult to do that. But you can hear it that's all. And arpeggios everywhere. It's not just straight. It's not this. But he goes. In fact, if you want to sound like Elton John immediately, play arpeggios in that rhythmic pattern. Da 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 da.
What did you? Yeah.
Throw in a country third in there, and so cool. I wanted to get that one in, and I didn't practice this. I mean, I can still do it. I wanted to play a Chopin Nocturne.
I was about to say you were driving me crazy through all this because all of a sudden I'd be like cooking dinner and you'd be playing Chopin, but in the style of Elton John. It really kind of messes with your mind.
I wish I had practiced this, but I didn't. But I'll try it. But I'm gonna play. Everybody knows this. I'm sorry. I need to practice, learn my notes again. Anyway, so we've heard that, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, let's play it in the style of Elton John. And you can tell everybody.
And that's why he literally could not be put in a box to play just Chopin note for note for the rest of his life.
Yeah. And
I'm so glad he didn't.
No, and I wanted to. That's something I wanted to say. I'm glad you said that. We're not trying to put Elton John in the box and saying, "Oh, this is all he's doing. He's doing these things, and just do these, and you'll sound like Elton John." No, these are just some elements, influences that make him sound like himself. At the center of it all is Elton. Mm-hmm. And you think of it, he's the center of it, and then you have these little spokes coming off, and you have gospel blues, arpeggiated chords, complex chord structure. And these are just a few of them. There's many others. But he always combines all these elements in such a way that is uniquely him. And it's just amazing. I just thought it'd be cool to examine some of the things that he does and kind of point them out, because it's really neat to hear that. Because then when you go back and listen to Elton, you will hear him differently than you used to. It'll be illuminated more. You'll hear the country third. You'll hear that dun, 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 dun. You'll hear the gospel blues in it, arpeggiated chords, and you'll really appreciate the music more, I think. So that's what we're trying to do here, is get you guys, to open up some things for you and let you appreciate Elton more as an artist and what he's done. And just as a fan, we just, love doing this and bringing it to you.
But so I read Elton John's memoir.
Yeah.
Me, I think is what it was called. It was good. He really talks a lot about music and his influences and musical experiences. So I would recommend it. It was pretty good. And we listened to all, well, not all of his albums. Maybe through Madman Across the Water.
Yeah.
He had some off years
yeah.
with the music. And he said that in his book. He knows some of those songs are not.
And my goodness, when I look at, the fame and everything he experienced at a young age, I can understand the problems that you have.
Also,
because
just the timeline.
Yeah.
This is what blew me away in his book. The timeline of work that he put out.
Yeah.
Within the first 3 years, he'd put out a ridiculous amount of albums. I mean, it's crazy the amount of work he did.
Yeah.
And so, record labels needing an album and
right.
sort of his life being in shambles and having to do that.
And what if any one of us had a magnifying glass on our lives for everyone to see, So I like to just look at the music. I love the music, and to me, that's how I would get to really know Elton, is through the music.
And I would get to know him if I was making recommendations. Like I said, that's the book I read. Mm-hmm. Primarily got a lot of my information from there. Yeah. And then you really listen to his first album, Elton John. Yeah. That self-titled album released in America.
It's really a handbook for what he's going to do.
Yeah.
For the next 40, 50 years, or whatever. How long.
So hopefully you guys could listen to that album too, and just sort of everything we talked about, like that it would be highlighted. Yeah. And that you would be able to hear it in his music, the genius that he is. And then if you need to learn how to play Elton John songs, definitely check out webpianoteacher.com.
Hey, I think I have maybe over 40 different songs on there, which has got to be probably 250 lessons on Elton John stuff. If you want to learn how to play just like, because every lesson I did is him, playing a live performance, and you get to play it just like he did. And even if you can't quite play it, you can still watch it and learn from it. Yeah. Play it at a slow tempo.
It's definitely not for the beginner.
Yeah, right.
But if you are a beginner,
we have beginner lessons.
Have that. So you guys can create a free profile on Web Piano Teacher. Every part 1 video is free. So you can look around the song library and definitely check
out what's on there. And you have what we added, as sheet downloads. The sheet that I'm writing out on the video is the one you get to download if you decide to download one.
I'm like really good at putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Are you going to do a lesson for this song?
Definitely. Definitely.
That way somebody could learn just this lesson and get all the Elton John techniques in one song.
I crammed it all in. Why don't we could end with just singing this chorus again?
Okay.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
So, since to take control,
turn the table,
spin the song, believe in the fable. Why don't we do the second time where it's happy? Or throw out the fable.
Yeah,
let's do that. Okay. So you're singing harmony.
I know.
Okay, here we go. So to take control, turn the table, spin the song, throw. Last time. I'm going to get it right this time. To take control, so turn the table, spin the song, throw out the fable, turn the page, a new day has dawned. Turn the table, spin the song. Life is short, but life goes on. Turn the table, spin the song. Oh, 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 oh. Turn the table, spin the song. Turn the table, spin the song. Together. Turn the table, spin the song.
All right,
Applause.
guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the Web Piano Teacher Artist Series.
Look for more.
Look for more. We'll do more artists, more songs, and just showing you the music we love.
Great. Talk to you later.